ॐ ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीमद् भागवतम तृतीय स्कंद पूर्ववत स्थिति। अध्याय 4 श्री विदुर मैत्रेय मिलन। उद्धव उवाच अथ ते तदनुज्ञाता भुक्त्वा पीत्वा च वारुणिम् तया विभ्रशितं ज्ञाना दुरुक्ते मर्मपस्पृशुः।
Thereafter, all of them, the descendants of Varsni and Bhoja, being permitted by the Brahmanas, partook of the remnants of prasada and also drank liquor made of rice. By drinking, they all became delirious and, bereft of knowledge, they touched the cores of each other's heart with harsh words.
तेषां मैरेयदोषेण विषमीकृतचेतसाम् निम्लोच्यतीरवावासेद् वेणूनामिव मर्दनम्।
As by the friction of bamboos destruction takes place, so also at sunset, by the interaction of the falls of intoxication, all their minds became unbalanced and destruction took place.
भगवान् स्वात्ममायाया गतिं तामवलोक्य सः सरस्वतीमुपस्पृश्य वृक्षमूलम् उपाविशत्।
The personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, after foreseeing the end, eternal potency, went to the bank of river Saraswati, sipped water, and sat down underneath a tree.
अहं चोक्तो भगवता प्रपन्नाति हरेणः बदरीं त्वं प्रयाहेति स्वकुलं सञ्चिहीर्षुणा।
Gita Mataji, can you?
Yeah, I can. Sorry, I was not able to see it.
Okay, thank you.
The Lord is the vanquisher of the distress of the one who is surrendered to him. Thus, he who, sorry, I'm not able to see properly for some reason. I apologize. The screen is not visible to me completely. I wonder why. Yeah.
Is that okay now?
Yes, please. Of the distresses of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus, he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Padhari Kasrama.
तथापि तदपि प्रेतं जाननहम् अरिरथम् पृष्ठतोन्वगमं पादविश्लेषणाक्षमः।
Yet, in spite of my knowledge, his desire to destroy the dynasty. O Arindama, Vidura, I followed him because it was impossible for me to bear separation from the lotus feet of the Master.
आद्राक्षमाकमासेनं विचिन्वन्दयितं पीतं श्रीनिकेतं सरस्वत्यां कृतकेतमकेतनम्.
Thus following, I saw my patron and master, Lord Sri Krishna, sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune.
श्यामावदातं विरजं प्रशान्तारुणलोचनम् दुर्भिचतुर्भिवेदितं पितकोशाम्बरेण च.
The Lord's body is blackish, but is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and very, very beautiful. His eyes are always peaceful, and they are reddish, like the rising morning sun. I could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his four hands, different symbolic representations, and a yellow silk garments.
वामे उरावादिश्रित्य दक्षिणादिं सरोरुहम् अपाश्रितभाक अस्वत्थम् अकृशं त्यक्तपिप्पलम्.
The Lord was sitting, taking rest against a young banyan tree, with his right lotus foot on his left thigh, and although he has left all household comforts, he looked quite cheerful in that posture.
तस्मिन् महाभागवतो द्वैपायनसुह्यत्सखा लोकाननुचरन् सिद्ध अस आससाद् यद्गच्छया.
At that time, after traveling in many parts of the world, Maitreya, a great devotee of the Lord, and a friend and a well-wisher of the great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vaisa, reached that spot out of his own perfect accord.
तस्यानुरक्तस्य मुनेर्मुकुन्दः प्रमोदभावानत कन्धरस्य आशृण्वतो मामनुरागः समक्षया विश्रमयन्नुवाच.
Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, the Lord, and he was listening in a pleasing attitude, with his shoulder lowered, with a smile and a particular glance upon me. Having allowed me to rest, the Lord spoke as follows.
श्रीभगवानुवाच वेदाहमन्तमनसितं ते ददामि यतद्दुर्वापमन्यहे सत्रे पुरा विश्वसृजां वसुनां निसिद्धि
There's so many not taking.
कामेन वसोत्वयः.
Huh?
O Vasu, I know from within your
You
mind
got to put a t-shirt?
Premila
what,
Mataji, can you mute yourself, please?
what you
Sorry,
desire. What you desired in the days of old, when the Vasus and other demigods, responsible for expanding the universal affairs, performed sacrifices. You particularly desired to achieve my association. This is very difficult for others to obtain, but I award it onto you.
स एष साधुचरमो भवानां मासादितस्ते मदनुग्रहो यन्मानृलोकान् रह उत्सृजत् तं दृष्ट्या दत्ते स्वानविशदन्नृवर्त्य
O honest one, your present life is the last and the supermost, because in this term of life you have been awarded my ultimate favor. Now you can go to my transcendental abode, Vaikuntha, by leaving this universe of conditioned living entities. You visit to me in this lonely place because of your pure and unflinching devotional service is a great boon for you.
पुरा मया प्रोक्तमजायनाभ्ये पद्मे निष्णाय ममादिसर्गे ज्ञानं परममन्महिमा भासम् यत्सुरयो भागवतं वदन्ति.
O Uddhava, in the lotus millennium, in the days of old, at the beginning of the creation, I spoke unto Brahma, who is situated on the lotus that grows out of my navel, about my transcendental glories, which the great sages describe as Srimad Bhagavatam.
इत्यादक्तोक्तः परमस्य पुंसः प्रतीक्षणानुग्रहभाजनोऽहं श्रेतहो रोमास्फलिताक्षरत्तं मुञ्चन शुचः प्राजलिं राबमेष भाषे.
Dhava said, O Vidura, when I was thus favored at every moment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and addressed by him with great affection, my words failed in tears, and the hairs on my body erupted. After smearing my tears, I, with folded hand, spoke like this.
कोन्विष् ते पादसरोजभाजां सुदुर्लभर्षो अर्थेषु चतुष्वपिः तथापि नाहं प्रणोमि भुमन् भवत्पदम्भोजनिषेवणत्सुखः.
O my Lord, devotees who engage in the transcendental loving service of your lotus feet have no difficulty in achieving anything within the realm of four principles of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But, O Great One, as far as I am concerned, I have preferred only to engage in the loving service of your lotus feet.
कर्माण्यनिहस्य भवो अभव्यस्य ते दुर्गाश्रयोद्धार प्रियात् पलायनम् कालात्मनो यत् प्रमादायुक्ताश्रमः स्वात्मरन्तेः खिद्यति निर्विदामिह.
My Lord, even the learned sages become disturbed in their intelligence when they see that your greatness engages in fruitive work although you are free from all desires, that you take birth, although you are unborn, that you flee out of fear of the enemy and take shelter in a fort, although you are the controller of invincible time, and that you enjoy householder life surrounded by many women, although you enjoy in yourself.
मन्नेषु मां वा उपहूयत्वयाम् अकुण्ठितखाण्ड सदात्मबोधः पृच्छे प्रभो मुक्त इवा प्रमत्तस् तन्नो मनो मोहयति वदेव.
O my Lord, your eternal self is never divided by the influence of time, and there is no limitation to your perfect knowledge. Thus, you are sufficiently able to consult with yourself, yet you called upon me for consultation, as if bewildered, although you were never bewildered, and this act of yours bewilders me. Hare Krishna.
ज्ञानं ज्ञानं परं स्वात्मः परः प्रकाशम् प्रोवाच कस्मै भगवान् समगम् अपि क्षमं नो ग्रहणाय भर्तर्वदाञ्च स यदृचिनं तरे.
My Lord, kindly explain to us, if you think us competent to receive it, that transcendental knowledge which gives enlightenment about yourself and which you explained before to Brahmaji.
Hare Krishna. Sorry
Hare,
for all the
Hare
mistakes I have
Krishna.
done.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please, I'm speaking from India now, so please forgive me. Thank you, Geeta Mataji and Pragna Mataji, for the wonderful recitation. And let's start off our class today. Today we're going to discuss or speak upon chapter 4, canto 3, verses 4 to 7. Before that, should we just start with our Mangalacharan? Forgive me for my throat. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees. Mataji, can you please put the thing for the chant for the yeah. If somebody can read out that, please. I need just a volunteer to read the verse, the translation, and the purport, please.
Shall I read, Mataji?
Please, Mataji. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. The Lord is the vanquisher of the distress of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus, he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Badrik Ashram. While at Dwarka, Uddhava was warned to avoid the distress which were to follow the disappearance of the Lord and the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. He was advised to proceed to Badrik Ashram because there he could associate with the devotees of Narayana, and in the association of devotional service, he could increase his eagerness for chanting, hearing, knowledge and detachment. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Can you please read the other two also, Mataji? They are very small.
Sure. Thank you, Mataji. Yet, in spite of my knowing his desire to destroy the dynasty, O Arindam Vidura, I followed him because it was impossible for me to bear separation from the lotus feet of the Master. If you go up, Mataji. Thank you. Yet, in spite of my knowing his desire to destroy the...
thus following.
Down, I think it will. Is it the correct one I'm reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thus following, we do the sixth one, right? Six.
Yes,
Next
sorry.
one.
Go down a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Mataji. Thus following, I saw my patron and master, Lord Sri Krishna, sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Those who are in the renounced order of life often take shelter underneath a tree. The Lord was found by Uddhava in that condition of taking shelter, as do persons who have no shelter. Because he is the proprietor of everything, everywhere in his shelter, and everywhere under his shelter. The entire material and spiritual cosmic manifestation is sustained by him, and therefore he is the shelter of everything. So there was nothing astonishing in his taking shelter in the way of the unsheltered who are in the renounced order of life. Shall I read the next one, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, this is the last verse.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. God's body is blackish, but is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and very, very beautiful. His eyes are always peaceful and they are reddish, like the rising morning sun. I could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his four hands, different symbolic representation, and yellow silk garments.
Thank you, Mataji, so much. Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna. So the story is still continuing where Uddhava is speaking to Vidura. And we have come, he already explained to Vidura about the pastimes of Krishna out of Vrindavan. And now we have come to the place, now this chapter will tell us how the Yadu dynasty gets destroyed basically. They do all the yagnas, and after doing all the yagnas, then what happens? They will get intoxicated, all the Yadus. They become intoxicated, and once under intoxication, they say such harsh words to each other's friends. Like for example, friends who are very close to you. For them, what you can become the enemy by only saying harsh words to them. You don't have to use any weapons. Just saying harsh words was enough to get the other person's anger up, and then that basically destroys the relationship. And then afterwards, you can just start picking up arms and trying to kill each other. So that is what they did with the Yadu dynasty. And because of this, what happened? Their minds, when you're intoxicated, your thought process becomes bewildered. You lose your sense of judgment. And then you start fighting for silly things which you would not even do. That's why whenever we are angry, we want to write so many things. For example, when we're very angry with somebody else, and you go to that limit to say that I'm going to give a complaint, or I want to literally do. So the best way is to either you don't have to do everything at the same time. One of my colleagues, senior colleagues, that lady's suggestion was a very nice one, which I thought was quite useful. Suppose if you had any anger about anyone, any family member, or at workplace, or anywhere else, then what you would do is, to vent out your anger, you start writing it down. Write a letter, write an email. But she says not to send it. You just write it, think over it, and then come next day morning and have a look and see. And you'll be surprised to see the whole thought process changes when you're very calm and sober. So what happened with Yadus? They were all intoxicated, and then they started killing each other, and that's how the Yadu dynasty disappears. And Krishna, this was all Krishna's plan. Krishna had done this all after that, and the curse was just a leela with their pastime, but it was for the Yadu dynasty to go, because they were becoming so powerful, and then they were doing all wrong things. And they killed each other by, as we know the story of how that iron staff, which was obviously was hidden in the belly, and Samba, one of the Jadus, he was dressed up as a pregnant person and with a staff in his tummy, trying to act as a pregnant person. And they went and asked the Rishi to tell whether it's a boy or a girl. And then the Rishi gets very, very angry. And then what he does is, he curses them, saying that you have a metal staff, the metal like a small piece of metal over there, which will be the destruction of your whole clan. And then all of them really get, all the young chaps trying to play around with the rishis. And when somebody is in adolescent age, they do not have proper thinking, because their hormones are all over the place. It's just like how people in menopause have no proper thinking. The opposite. With adolescents, what happens is, they'll have all these energetic hormones everywhere, and that they can't channel them properly. So the fan might think that he'll become a Superman or a Superwoman, then he can influence everyone. All of us must have gone through in our life. When we are adolescent, we think like we can win everything under the sun. But on the other hand, when it becomes menopausal, then that time you are really sapped out of energy. So in both these extremes, your balance is not there way how you think. So this is what these young boys had done. They were just going to enjoy over there, but they thought, okay, let's have some fun. And most of the time, when you go outside and you see these social events, when young people are the ones, I mean, they get really excited and they don't know how to control, and then a small thing flares up and then it becomes a big one. So something of that has happened over here. And then they ended up having the curse of the whole dynasty. Now they got scared. Oh my God, what have we done? Now they become serious now. First they think it is a prank and they're playing with the sage. And later it becomes a serious event. Then they run to Ugrasena, who is the king of Mathura then. And Ugrasena will tell a plan that to grind the whole stuff and throw it into the water, into the sea. And then they do that so that they think that everything has been, the stuff has been destroyed, and this is sort of a false reassurance. Where what happens when they grind all these iron things, that rushes and comes back to the shore, and from there comes later that iron dust, from there comes bamboos have become, and these are the bamboos these Yadus will use when they really get intoxicated and angry. They just pick them up like a staff and they kill each other. And then there was another piece which was not really ground so well and it was eaten by the fish. And then this fisherman, or Jara, the hunter, he catches this fish and then he finds this metal piece which he uses it as an arrowhead. And that is the arrow which obviously touches Sri Krishna's feet. And then there's the sort of a disappearance of Lord Sri Krishna from this material world. So over here, what we understand over here is so Lord Sri Krishna will be telling Vidura that he is obviously, he knows what's going to happen. So in the next 7 days, what will happen, Dwaraka, where all of them are living, is going to be submerged in water. So he makes Vidura Uddhava go to Badrikashram, where he can be. Now he wants Vidura to go to Badrikashram so he can immerse himself basically in his in penance. And what was Uddhava's wish? Uddhava's wish was always to be associate of the Lord, always to serve the Lord, and to fulfill that wish. And so that he would never come back to this earth again, will never be reborn. So Lord Krishna will advise him to go to Badrikashram. They go to Badrikashram, they will be followers of the Narayana Rishi, and he'll be in good association. He will do penance and he will learn, and then he will do devotional service. Then that will fulfill his thing. And when he dies, then he will not come back it will not take a rebirth again. That was the Lord's promise to Uddhava. So Uddhava, then he tells over here like how Lord Sri Krishna, then after that the Lord Sri Krishna lies on this, he basically comes back from Dwaraka from all the opulence, and then Lord Sri Krishna will be lying under the banyan tree, resting very peacefully, and then with his back towards the banyan tree, and on the bank of river Saraswati, and he sips some water and he sits under the tree, very blissful. So Uddhava is trying to say like the Lord, who is the proprietor of everything, is just lying under this tree as though he has nothing, but he is the proprietor of everything. And plus also he's so peaceful over here. You can see like what they're trying to say over here is he has so much of material opulence he had, but without at home he was sitting, I mean obviously in Dwaraka he was living like a grihast, and he has all this material opulence, is like had a good bed, good cushion, he was a king, so anything would be not achievable for him. But over here, Lord Krishna will come and lie in the forest on the normal soil and under the banyan tree with nature. And like how anybody who has nothing just will take a shelter of a tree, or like a sannyasi who for enlightenment will take a shelter under a tree. Same way Lord Sri Krishna is lying down. That is Uddhava's saying. And then and then Lord Uddhava says, in spite of by knowing his desire, so he's trying to explain away to Vidura is that he knew that Krishna is going to destroy the dynasty, and he just obeyed him as a spiritual disciple will go to spiritual master, and also, follow the instructions of spiritual master. He basically, even though it was very difficult for him to depart, he just followed and he went. And he was trying to say the mood and the feeling that he saw his master. There's so much of pain when in separation, and he was saying he saw his patron and master. He's sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the Saraswati, though he is the shelter of Goddess of Fortune. Yeah, so he gives the shelter to Goddess of Fortune. The Goddess of Fortune has so much of wealth around the universe, and he gives shelter to that. Means imagine how much of, he is much, much more wealthier than the Goddess of Fortune, and he is sitting over here alone. And he starts describing the Lord's appearance and the way how he looks, and how Lord Krishna looks with this beautiful black color, and he looks so full of peace and quite blissful. Looks very, 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 very beautiful. Black is beautiful, as they say. And his eyes were so like the rising sun, and they looked very peaceful. And he could see the Lord as the four-armed Lord, not as just as a friend or something, but as a four-armed Lord. And all different. He has the lotus flower, the conch, the disc, and the mace, with all those paraphernalia, and obviously the representative of yellow silk garments. So this is what he will be trying to explain it to Vidura. And then he says like how the Lord takes rest against the banyan tree, and with his obviously right foot on his left thigh. And then after that, the story continues, obviously, where Jara will come and then try to mistake the Lord's feet for the deer's eye or this thing, and then ear, and then he kills them. Basically, he thought it's a deer, and then he uses the arrow, the bow. So over here, what I wanted to say was Uddhava has always been a very, very pure devotee. He's been a pure devotee of the Lord. And what we have to understand is he's been an associate. He wanted to be that was his main wish. He's one of his Vasu, one of his plenary expansions of Uddhava, he wished that he wanted to be the God's associate, and that is why he came down over here. But wishing and fulfilling things are quite a different thing. So over here, the Lord is actually helping him in his mission. If you look at it, Uddhava does not want to come back to this earth anymore. And the Lord is actually guiding him, saying that how to go back to Godhead, and how appropriately the God is guiding him. Because imagine if you're not finished of what you are, what your goal is, then obviously you have to come back again in this earth to fulfill all those desires, but that will take again. So you have to relearn again, because as a child, see now all the memories which you have stored from the time you're born, you have to learn how to speak, how to walk, and how to talk, even though you have the soul in you. But you still need all the time to deal with the knowledge. And by the time you get to the knowledge, so half of your life is gone in a way. And then you've got to restart again. So in some way, Lord Krishna had helped, he's asked him to go to Badrika Ashram. That is also another way of how Krishna has, so through Uddhava, sorry. So Krishna's existence has been shown over here. So obviously with the knowledge, then we see how Krishna is still living amongst us with his pastimes. So over here, this is the prayers of Uddhava basically to Krishna, asking him, please tell us about how we can attain this spiritual freedom where we can go back to Vaikuntha or go back to Godhead. So Uddhava prays very sincerely, and God actually listens to his prayers and tries to give an answer. So so over here, when you look, this is that Uddhava Gita, I think it will be there in Canto 11. We can just go over there if you can. Uddhava Gita, if somebody can read, that will be really good. Mataji, if you can go to Canto 11 and chapter 7.
Sorry, Mataji, I missed it.
Canto 11.
Okay.
You can just go on the top. Yeah, just go to the status quo, Mataji, if you go there. You can go to the status quo on the top and you see the red pink letters. You can just click onto this one, Mataji, where you see libraries, Srimad Bhagavatam, onto the left. Okay, that's fine.
Canto 11.
Chapter 7. Yeah, if somebody can read that thing, it'll be quite nice.
I can read.
Can we have a volunteer, please?
I
Just
can
only
read.
the introduction paragraphs, not to read every verse. Yeah.
Okay, so just this much.
Yeah,
What the text
yeah,
is.
till the verse, till the text is, yes.
Okay. Lord Krishna instructs Uddhava. As described in this chapter, the Supreme Lord Krishna replied to Uddhava's prayerful entreaty that he be allowed to return with him to his abode. Krishna advised Uddhava to take to the renounced order of sannyasa, and when Uddhava showed interest in more elaborate instructions, the Lord further described the Avaduta's account of his 24 spiritual masters. After hearing Uddhava's prayerful request to be taken back with him to the spiritual world, Lord Krishna informed him that he was indeed desirous of returning to his own personal abode because the purpose of his descent had been successfully fulfilled and the misfortunes of Kali Yuga would soon beset the earth. He thus advised Uddhava to take up sannyasa by fixing his mind upon him and establishing himself in theoretical and realized transcendental knowledge. The Lord further instructed Uddhava that while remaining untouched by contamination and compassionately disposed of all beings, he should begin wandering throughout this temporary world, which is simply the combined manifestation of the Lord's illusionary energy and the imaginations of the living entities. Uddhava then stated that renouncing material things in a spirit of detachment is the source of the highest auspiciousness, but such renunciation is certainly extremely difficult to accomplish for living entities other than the devotees of the Supreme Lord, because they are very attached to sense gratification. Uddhava expressed the need for some instruction by which foolish persons who misidentify the body as the self can be convinced to carry out their duties in accordance with the order of the Supreme Lord. Even great demigods like Brahma are not completely surrendered to the Lord, but Uddhava declared that he himself had taken shelter of the only instructor of the absolute truth, Lord Narayana, an all-perfect, all-knowing master of Vaikuntha and the only real friend of all living entities. Hearing this, the Supreme Lord replied that actually the Jiva soul in his own Guru within the
Is
human body, the living beings can search out the Supreme Lord by positive and negative means and ultimately achieve him. For this reason, the human form of life is most dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this regard, Lord Krishna began to describe an ancient conversation between a Brahmana, Avaduta, and the great king Yadu. The son of Yayati, Maharaj Yadu, once encountered an Avaduta who was traveling about here and there. In great transcendental ecstasy, he was acting unpredictably, just like someone who has become haunted by a ghost. The king inquired from the holy man about the cause of his wanderings and his ecstatic condition, and the Avaduta replied that he had received various instructions from 24 different gurus: the earth, the wind, the sky, the water, fire, and so on. Because of the knowledge he had gained from them, he was able to travel about the earth in a liberated state. From the earth, he had learned how to be sober, and from the two manifestations of earth, namely the mountain and the tree, he had learned, respectively, how to serve others and how to dedicate one's whole life to the benefit of others. From the wind, manifestation in the form of the vital air within the body, he had learned how to be satisfied with merely keeping oneself alive, and from the external wind, he had learned how to remain uncontaminated by the body and the objects of the senses. From the sky, he had learned how the soul, which pervades all material substances, is both indivisible and imperceptible. And from the water, he had learned how to be naturally clear and purifying. From the fire, he had learned how to devour all things without becoming dirtied and how to destroy all the inauspicious desires of those who make offerings to him. He had also learned from the fire how the Supreme Soul enters into everybody and appears to assume the identity of each. From the moon, he had learned how the various phases the material body undergoes: birth, growth, dwindling, and death do not affect the embodied soul. From the sun, he had learned how to avoid entanglement even while coming into contact with sense objects. And he had also learned about the two different modes of perception based on seeing the real form of the soul and seeing false designative coverings. From the pigeon, he had learned how too much affection and excessive attachment are not good for one. This human body is the open door to liberation, but if one becomes attached to family life like the pigeon, one is compared to a person who has climbed up a high place just to fall down again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, so much. So this is, you can see, just like what Uddhava got the thing was, the Supreme Lord was trying to say that your Jiva soul is your own Guru. So your Jiva, your own soul, which you have inside the inner consciousness. So always they say, right? You have a gut feeling, your gut feeling, that is only Jiva, that's your soul. Because something inside you is telling you, when you have a dilemma what to do, they say, go by a gut feeling. Or when you write an exam, when you don't know what the right answer is, there are 4 multiple choices, questions, you don't know which one. But the one which the first thought comes out right, that is the right one all the time. And so over here, the Jiva soul, which you have in your own body, is your first guru in a way, because it is the one which is leading you to the path. It is the one you look into. So you need to look inside and ask for help over there. So over here, what we get to know is that in this human body, these sorry. So living beings, they can search out the Supreme Lord by positive and negative means. So when we do some things, we don't see, some people come to Krishna consciousness by actually getting good vibes, good things, that this is where they feel very, very happy. And whereas some people come to Krishna consciousness by having adverse events in their life. And then when they come after facing all the adverse events in their life, then they come to Krishna consciousness. So everybody has their own way of coming to Krishna consciousness. But the ultimate goal is to come to Krishna consciousness, is to be aware that Lord is there. Is to be aware that, I'm sorry about the background noise, is to be aware that, 1 second.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, do we go back?
Sorry, Mataji, a little bit of to show them away. So the main thing is to main goal is to achieve him, whichever way you go. Yeah. So therefore, again, the importance is the human life. Human life is the most important. As we spoke last time, that we have to avail every little bit time we have to use this human life as much as possible, to go back, to know about the Lord, to do pure devotional service, to understand what a life is for, and to achieve those goals. There are lots of description, obviously, about this Brahmana and Avaduta and King Yadus. It's just an example, like how the Avaduta was finding in everything he saw a guru. And when we go, we have no limit of learning new things. Some people at the age of 100 and 101 are still learning to get a degree. So you can imagine, in anything you see, if you see the good things in that particular, whatever you see, you will find how your life becomes much, much more easier. So everything can be a guru. So over here, like how the air can be guru, how the water can be guru, how the mountains can be, how the trees can be. So this is what they're trying to show us, each and every element. And the main thing is we have to get detached. So, and then again, the Lord goes on to say, like, they try to show, the Lord will tell about his opulences, and like in chapter 10, Bhagavad Gita, 11 and 10, a similar way, again, it describes in this Bhagavad Gita as among the celestial things, he's a sun, and then among the snakes, he's Vasuki, and among little he tells everything, and this is the next chapter would be describing the Lord's opulences. So over here, so this chapter basically, I'll just leave these 4 things, but I wanted to announce a bit about the Bhishma Panchaka, and I was just thinking in this time, because we have to understand this next 5 days from tomorrow is Bhishma Panchaka, where the importance of Bhishma Panchaka, basically, where you know why Bhishma Panchaka, because in these 5 days, Bhishma was obviously lying on the bed of arrows after he fought the war of Kurukshetra. But Bhishma, being this very highly esteemed, devotee of the Lord, he has been given a boon by his father that he could die at his own will. So what happened? Lord Krishna, now he advises the Pandavas to say, especially Yudhishthira. So Yudhishthira is going to be the king. So he was wanting Yudhishthira to go and listen to Bhishma and take the advice of Bhishma how to rule the kingdom. So Bhishma tells him during this time, lying in this bed of arrows, he asked for water. We know how Arjuna he wanted to drink water, but you know how you should try to imagine how Bhishma is lying on this bed of arrows, and basically you have to give him water, and he doesn't want to drink water from anyone because the Duryodhana also wanted to give him water apparently, but he wanted to drink water from Arjuna. So Arjuna, then he basically with his bow and arrow, he gets water from the ground, and that goes, and obviously Bhishma will be able to drink that water. And after that, obviously, he tells the story he gives advice to Yudhishthira, how he should rule and everything. During that advice, when he was giving, and the sun starts moving towards the north, Uttarayana. So this is the time where it is really, that is when Bhishma will try. He will say like, okay, now my time has come. This is the time I really want to leave this body. And so what he will do, he will try to concentrate. He will see Lord Krishna over here, and he will try to concentrate all his senses and mind, will detach himself from this whole material world, and he will concentrate on the Lord who is in front of him. And then he will, this is the prayers to the Lord, and then he will leave his body after saying all those prayers. So he was fully conscious when he was looking at Krishna and then offering prayers, and then he leaves his body. And that is the way how we should be. Anybody should be doing it, but we are not Bhishmas. But from our material world, if we do it by default, by practicing every time, if you practice daily, Srila Prabhupada says, if you don't see Krishna during when somebody at the time of your death, that means you have not practiced enough. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. So Srila Prabhupada was teaching us to practice. And when the exam comes, then he will tell us whether you have failed or passed. Okay. So I was just thinking, if you'll give with permission, if I can just quickly recite this verses. So it is Mataji. So Bhishma Stuti is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. Canto 1. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes,
Canto 1, Chapter
Canto
9, Mataji.
Chapter 9.
The passing away of Bhishma. Yeah. And from there, you have to go to verse 32, Mataji. You can put the English ones, yeah? Verse 32.
Oh, okay.
From verse 32. I'll just do off the Sanskrit, then I'll finish up the whole thing in one go. And then we want somebody to read from 32 to 42.
Right. So you want just you don't want Papa, do you?
No. Only the verses. There'll be no time for all that, Mataji. Only that one.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you just put the English one only. I'll just read off just keep the translation. So if I do off the Sanskrit one, then y'all can do off the English one.
Okay, so you want translation and Sanskrit. Sorry.
No, just take off all the Sanskrit verses. Just leave as the text as they are. No, Mataji, take off everything. Only keep the text. Only keep the translation. Sorry. Only keep the translation and take off everything out.
Okay, like this?
Yeah, or you can take. Yeah, that's fine. Yes,
Okay.
yes, Mataji. Please go up. Please from 32.
Okay. Shall we read it?
This comes, yeah. It just comes. It comes in a different meter. So let me do off the Sanskrit, and then you all can do with the English. Is that okay?
Yeah. Shall I do English? Anyone else wants to do English?
Yeah. So what I was saying, like I'll do it in one go, so it'll come like a song.
Okay. Right.
And then you can do the English one in one go. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start then. Sri Bhishma Vacha. You'll have to forgive me for my throat, but Iti mati rupa kalpita vitrishna Bhagavati satvata pungave विभूम्नि स्वसुखमुपगते क्वचिद्विहर्तुं प्रकृतिमुपेयुषि यद्भव प्रवाहः त्रिभुवनकमनं तमालवर्णं रविकरगौरवराम्बरं दधाने वपुरलककुला वृताननाब्जं विजयसखेरतिरस्तु मे नवद्या युधितुर गरजो विधूम्रविश्व कचलुलितश्रमवार्यलं कृतास्ये मम निशतशरै विविध्यमाना त्वचि विलसत्कवचेस्तु कृष्ण आत्मा सपदि सखिवचो निशम्य मध्ये निजपरयोर्बलयोरथं निवेश्य स्थितवती परसैनिकायुरक्ष्णा ऋतवती पार्थ सखेरतिर्ममास्तु व्यवहितपृतना मुखं निरीक्ष्य स्वजनवद्धाद्विमुखस्य दोष बुद्ध्या कुमति महरदात्मविद्ययायश्चरणरति परमस्य तस्य मेस्तु स्वनिगममपहाय मत्प्रतिज्ञा मृतमधिकर्तुमवाप्लुतो रथस्थः धृतरथचरणो व्ययाचलत्कु हरिरिव हन्तुमिभं गतोत्तरीयः शितविषः खहतो विशीर्णदशः दंशः शतजप रिप्लुत आतता हिनो मे प्रसभमभिससार मद्धधार्थं स भवतु मे भगवान् गतिर्मुकुन्दः विजयरथ कुटुम्ब आत्रतोत्रे धृतहयराश्मिनि तच्छ्रिये क्षणीये भगवति रतिरस्तु मे मुमुर्षो यमिह निरीक्ष्य हता गता स्वरूपम् ललित गतिविलासवल्गुहास प्रणय निरीक्षण कल्पितो रुमानः कृतमनुकृतवत् य उन्मदान्धः प्रकृतिमगन् किल यस्य गोपवध्वा मुनिगणनृपवर्य संकुलेन्दः सदसि युधिष्ठिरराजसु य एषाम् अहरणमुपपेद ईक्षणीयो मम दृशि गोचर एष वीरात्मा तमिमम अमजं शरीरभाजां हृदि हृदि दृष्टितमात्मकल्पितानाम् प्रतितृषमिव नैकथार्कमेकं समधिगतोऽस्मि विधूतभेदमोहः. Hare Krishna. So this is
Hare
how
Krishna.
basically he says and he leaves the body. So let's do up just the translation. You can take off the English, the text verses. Yes, that's it. If somebody, one of you can read one by one, or one person can read, that'll be really nice. That it gives a meaning to what we have done just.
Mataji, can we do it alternatively? If
Huh?
Jyoti Mat, can we do alternatively? Like if Jyoti Mataji is reading one, and then I can read the other, and
Yeah,
then
please, Mataji, up to you.
and Jyoti Mataji, is that all right?
Yes, Mataji. No problem.
Okay, you start, and then I'll read the next verse, and then you can take the
Yeah.
next verse like that, by alternatively. Okay.
Okay,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 32, Bhishmadeva said, let me now invest my thinking, feeling, and willing, which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties. In the all-powerful Lord Sri Krishna, he is always self-satisfied, but sometimes being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending to the material world, although from him only the material world is created.
Sri Krishna is an intimate friend of Arjun. He has appeared on this earth in his transcendental body, which resembles the bluish color of the Tamela tree. His body attracts everyone in the three planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. May his glittering yellow dress and his lotus face covered with paintings and sandalwood pulp be the object of my attraction, and may I not desire fruited results.
Text 34. On the battlefield where Shri Krishna attended Arjuna out of friendship, the flowing hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hoofs of the horses, and because of his labor, beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations, intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows, were enjoyed by him. Let my mind thus go unto Shri Krishna.
Text 35. In obedience to the command of his friend, Lord Sri Krishna entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhan, and while there he shortened the lifespan of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna.
When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance, upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction.
Can you scroll up, please, Mataji? Thank you. Fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way.
May he, Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me, as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds.
At the moment of the death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrated my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjun, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjun's chariot. By all means, those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained his original form after death.
Let my mind be fixed upon Sri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Rajadama. the gopis. The damsels imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the recitants.
At the Rajsuya Yagna sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira, there was the greatest assembly of all the elite men of the world, the royal and learned orders, and that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was worshipped by one and all as the most exalted personality of Godhead. This happened during my presence, and I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord.
Now I can meditate with full concentration upon that one Lord, Sri Krishna, now present before me, because now I have transcended the misconceptions of duality in regard to his presence in everyone's heart, even in the hearts of the mental speculators. He is in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is one. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Mataji, just
Krishna.
only 43 verse, just for completion's sake, can you read 43?
Oh,
Okay. Sutta Goswami said, this Bhishmadev merged himself in...
Does Bhishmadev.
Oh, sorry, Mataji. Sutta
No,
Goswami said, thus Bhishmadev merged himself in the Super Soul, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with his mind, speech, sight, and action, and thus he became silent and his breathing stopped. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for giving me the opportunity.
No, Mataji, it's so I just wanted you all to appreciate like this Bhishma Panchaka which we do these 5 days. And it is nice to read these prayers. I hope I didn't take much of your time, because I think from tomorrow it's going to start Ekadashi till Kartik Purnima. You have these 5 days. The people are quite austere. In Odisha, what happens? People obviously they all eat fish and everything. They live in the coastal area. So this month, Kartik month, is really they wake up early in the morning and then they do all this, tidying up the place, and they go to the temples, they do all the pious activities as much as they possible. But these things can't be done by everyone. So in this last 5 days, they say, the stork, the bird stork, right? It eats fish. And they say this in these 5 days also, the birds also don't eat fish. And it seems like they are also doing austerity, in the last 5 days, because it is so pious. So these 5 days, people who have been not doing any religious activities are very religious in these 5 days. So wherever you go in Orissa, this 5 days a heavy rush. So they want to do their best and they want to achieve liberation for them. So for us, obviously you all know, I think in the lots of places where they're depending upon different types of fasting we can do, depending upon anybody's health conditions, or at least be a little bit austere, do some more rounds, and maybe you could read these prayers. You can just read this and go through them, just to remember Bhishmadev and the way how he remembered Krishna. And just I thought this would be a bit nice to just say at the beginning of this Bhishma Panchaka. And with that mood, you can start your Bhishma Panchaka from tomorrow with Ekadashi. I hope I have just gone off over, but just in time. I don't know whether there's any time for any questions, or do you want to ask any questions? I have no problem. Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Mataji. Just wanted to ask, for the next 5 days, what did you say we could read? Bhishma?
This is Bhishma Stuti prayers. This is what today we just now did, right, Mataji?
Oh, so these verses, 32 to 43?
42. 43 is actually Sutta Goswami says, so that's not his prayers.
Okay,
so
so
it
32
is
to 40.
32 to 42.
Okay.
Canto 1, put in the chat if you want in the chat. 32 to 42.
Okay.
Canto 1 and chapter 9.
Canto 1.
That is Bhishma Dev's prayers.
The 9, 32, 42. Okay. Yes, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Welcome, no worries at all. So this is like one thing of how Bhishma was praying. So obviously, remembering Bhishma Dev and then through him remembering Krishna. Yeah. So then should we close the class if everything is no more questions?
Yes,
We
Mataji.
could do. Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, for your class. Very nice.
Yes.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Vancha
Kalpataruvyasya kripa sindhu evacha patinebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you.
Happy Ekadashi tomorrow and also Bhishma Panchaka.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
I'm
so
sure
much.
in the website you can Indra Mataji and all you can give them some information regarding Bhishma Panchaka. You can pass it on maybe. Can do it
Okay.
later.
Will do. Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.